things off for the Cubs, who played a makeup game yesterday at home against the Crosstown White Sox and got shut out by a rookie, Carlos Torres, who pitched 7 scoreless for his first big league win. And Fukudome takes high, ball 1. And we've seen this early from Parnell, the fastball sitting in the low 90s his first inning or so. 1-1 to Fukudome.
You know, Gary, to me, it's almost like he's trying to throw a little 3/4 and making sure that he throws the ball to corners as opposed to trying to overpower the hitters.
He gets ahead 1-2 on Fukudome, who's hitting leadoff for the 25th time this year. Early in the season, they had Alfonso Soriano up there, but they moved him down in the order. Lately, Ryan Terrio's been doing most of the leading off for Chicago, so Lou Piniella has been trying everything he can to try and get more offense out of his team, which sits 10th in the National League in runs scored. And Parnell strikes out Fukudome for the first out of the night.
Well, that's why you get ahead of hitters at 1-2, because it allows you, even if you make a mistake and this slider is up in the strike zone, you can get away with it because you're ahead. A little late with that swing by Fukudome.
So 1 out and nobody on, and now the shortstop Ryan Theriot, who's hit a bit of a skid lately. Theriot has been having a fine season, just 6 for his last 38. Cubs just finished a 10-game homestand, went 5-5 in those 10 games. At a point in the schedule where they're playing mostly losing teams. Murphy handles the ground ball by Theriot for the second out.
Nice job by Murph there as the umpires in today's ball game.
Adrian Johnson, a vacation replacement umpire, has the balls and strikes today. Gary Cedarstrom is the crew chief. He's at first base. Fielded Culbreth and Jim Wolf round out the crew. Brother of a pitcher.
That's right. He's got a pretty good arm on him too, if you ever watch him behind the plate.
Here's Milton Bradley. And Bradley, who was the focus of so much discussion during the last homestand in Chicago, saying that he felt hatred every day at Wrigley Field, responded during that homestand by hitting over 400. But here he pops up. David Wright has it, and a very successful first inning for Bobby Parnell. Carlos Zambrano to the mound with no score. Your Geico starting lineup for the Mets tonight. Angel Pagan, 5 multiple hit games in the last 7, has pushed his batting average over 300. David Wright, 4 for 8 since coming back from the disabled list. Anderson Hernandez back at shortstop today. He has been swinging the bat well, and the Mets will try and do the same against Carlos Zambrano that they did last Sunday.
For a young pitcher who's pretty inconsistent in his actions, his results are pretty consistent. 103 and 67 career for Zambrano.
7-6 though this year, and lasted just 3 1/3 against the Mets on Sunday, giving up 11 hits. Angel Pagan takes a curveball for a strike, and it's 0-2. Pagan, 9 for his last 18, has been hitting the ball consistently well from both sides of the plate. And if he can just iron out some other areas of the game, boy, will the Mets have something. The former Chicago Cub playing against his old team.
Just has the physical tools. He reminds me of not the same player, but remember when Deion Sanders came to play baseball? Amazing physical talents, but would come up short in some of the instinctual things you need.
Hit to center field. Fukudome retreating, and that's the first out. So Pagan hits one straight away, 1 out and nobody on.
Well, defensively for the Cubs with Sam Fuld playing left field, much better defensively, of course, with Soriano, Fukudome, and Bradley. Ramirez Terrio has had a hard time at shortstop this year. He's made 13 errors, Baker and Hoppauer, and you can see those 88 errors tied for 3rd most in the National League. Soto has thrown out about 30% of the would-be base stealers.
So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Luis Castillo, who has cooled down significantly after a hot couple of months. Just 4 for his last 30. And he hits one over the mound. Baker right there to play it, and quickly there are 2 out. So both these teams putting the ball in play early in the count in the first inning, something that we have not seen a lot of lately. We've seen so many drawn out first innings for the Mets and against them lately.
Well, it's almost like the pitchers haven't responded. And think about, these teams are coming up and trying to extend you through that first inning. Best way to combat that, throw strike one. It makes them swing the bat.
David Wright's first Citi Field appearance since being drilled by Matt Cain back on August the 15th. David, as you know, yesterday donned his old helmet and ditched the new, safer, larger one. Says that it's certainly possible that he'll wear it in the future once they fix the sizing of it, but he was just being too annoyed by that thing sliding around on his head. He decided to go back to what works. I
thought at one point they might even have the coach Luis Alicea at first base wear this helmet, and when he got on the base, maybe switch helmets then.
Well, he tried the single flap, he tried the double flap, but it kept on rising up on his head, and there's so much padding in there. I think they're going to have to refine the way they manufacture it, and maybe custom design them for each player.
It's like trying to field without a glove that fits.
Right.
I mean, it's just too difficult to have to worry about anything except a ball moving in there at 95 miles an hour.
David hitting at .327, 4th in the National League. And Zambrano gets him swinging at the fastball. 96 from Zambrano, and he makes quick work of the Mets in the bottom of the first. No score. NY. You can always catch the game on your computer with MLB.tv, the ultimate baseball experience featuring 100 out-of-market games per week live on your computer, and catch those you missed on demand. For more details, visit Mets.com, where baseball is always on. Aramis Ramirez leading off in the second inning. Ramirez, who's been bothered by his left shoulder for about 4 months now. He went on the disabled list back in May with a dislocated shoulder, came back in July. It has never been right, and yet he's put up terrific numbers all year, and has told the Cubs that he wants to play through it the rest of the season.
I think what it really tells you is that a guy that has been accused at times of not being a gamer has showed that he's been a gamer this season. And secondly, how important he is to this lineup right in the middle. When he was out, they really were scuffling.
And Parnell misses. Santos mishandles 1-2. It'll be Ramirez, then Micah Hoffpower, and Jeff Baker for the Cubs in the second. For everything that has gone wrong with the Cubs this year, and they're just 2 games over 500, they still have a chance with a month to go in the season. They are 6 games off the pace in the National League wild card. Now, there are 4 teams in front of them, and they would have to go on a remarkable run, the likes of which they have not been able to put together this year. But they are in a similar circumstance right now. Bouncing ball toward the middle. Hernandez runs it down and makes the running toss. Nicely done by Anderson Hernandez. 1 out.
It was interesting. Anderson looked like he wanted to get this on the big hop, but it takes a little scoot and stays down. So he has to get it on the short hop, little off balance, but still able to keep his balance and make that accurate throw. You know, the whole thing at shortstop, you almost can't assume what kind of hop you're going to get. You have to play the one you get, and he did a fine job there.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Micah Hoffpower, who has been up and down between the Cubs and the minors this year. He's hitting just .233 and 180 at bats. The last time we saw Micah Hoffpower, he was having the series and the game of his life at Shea Stadium. He drives this one to left field. Back goes Sullivan near the edge of the track, there to grab it for the second out. Hoffpower had a game late last September against the Mets where he went 5 for 5 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. The first home run was his first in the major leagues, and he hit it off Pedro Martinez.
Well, that ball right there, Wrigley Field, is probably a home run, but not here at City.
Depending on the wind conditions.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was going to say about the Cubs, they're in a very similar position right now to where the Colorado Rockies were 2 years ago at this time. And then they went on an incredible run to win the wild card and wind up in the World Series. Now, it's not likely it's going to happen again, but at least they still have that chance. You know where they also are? They're in a very similar spot with a month to go to where the 73 Mets were in the National League East. Jeff Baker, the former Rocky, playing most of the second base these days. He's been hitting, and he hits this one right through Parnell for the first hit of the game. So Baker aboard, the first base runner for either side.
Well, Baker has been pretty impressive with the bat. Little slider in the middle of the plate, hits it right through the box. And you see Bobby cannot get down on that ball. It's one of the problems with being 6'4", 6'5". Hard to get all the way down in fielding position.
So a runner aboard with 2 down. Now Giovanni Soto, who really has had a dreadful sophomore season. He drives one, though, to left field. That's going to fall for a hit. Sullivan gets over to cut it off, and that's going to force Baker to stop at second base. Nicely done by Corey Sullivan to hold Soto to a single and keep Baker from getting to third.
You know, we talk about instincts all the time, and Corey Sullivan has them in spades. Just really knows how to play the game. Ran to a spot, anticipated where that baseball would be. And Baker, of course, is digging, wants to get to third base on this hit, but just can't because of the hustle by Sullivan.
So a couple of 2-out singles, and now Sam Fuld, the left fielder, will step in. Fuld, who's had only 60 big league at bats this year. And he takes high for ball 1.
Fuld is one of those guys that is just a fine defensive player. Want to discover if he can hit enough to stay here in the big leagues. On base percentage, very good.
Kid from Durham, New Hampshire, who went to Stanford and has always been considered a Lenny Dykstra type of scrappy player. Doesn't quite have the tobacco juice dribbling down his chin.
We're very happy about that. Sure, his parents are very happy about that. Durham is where UNH is, right?
Yes.
University of New Hampshire. So he's in a college town, goes to Phillips Exeter, goes all the way across the country to Stanford. Well-rounded young Mr. Fold.
And he also has had to overcome the fact that he is a type 1 diabetic and has dealt with that since he was 10 years old.
Well, for me, with my son, my youngest son, who is a type 1 diabetic, I'm feeling his tough road you have to hoe.
First athlete I can remember who publicly was a diabetic was the old Philadelphia Flyers Bobby Clark. And I think also Ron Santo,
yes,
when he played for the Cubs, had to deal with diabetes as well.
My son, his hero is Morrison, the basketball player.
Oh, the from Gonzaga.
That's right. Adam Morrison.
2-1 to Fold. And he takes a slider for a strike.
These are beautiful signs, right? 2-1, breaking ball from Parnell to Sam Fold. These are the things that you did not see in the last couple of starts. This is pitching. This is keeping the hitters off balance.
Now he steps off on 2-2. Now, does he throw a different pitch here on 2-2 than he would if it weren't Carlos Zambrano, one of the best hitting pitchers in baseball, on deck?
He wants to go after him with this pitch, but he just threw the 2-1 slider in. He really has that inside fastball set up if he wants it.
Just missed with it, though. 95 miles an hour, and it's 3-2.
Well, nice pitch, just missed.
So now the runners will be off. Baker at second, Soto at first with 3-2 and 2 out. Three-2 from Parnell. Foul back, and we'll do it again.
And I didn't answer your question, Gary, but I will say, I'll answer it now. Yes, you have to go after Fold in some strange ways, and you hate to ever say this about an everyday player, but Zambrano is such an accomplished hitter, like a Micah Owings, that you do have to go after Fold right now. This is the out you want.
Zambrano with 20 career home runs, the most among active major leaguers, 4 of those this year. And a switch hitter to boot. Again, the 3-2 to Fold, and he walked him, and the bases are full for Zambrano. So after Parnell cruised through the first 5 hitters, he's given up 2 hits and a walk to fill the bases.
Well, I like Santos going out there now. I think it's really important, as Danny Warden looks on, that he just calms him down, says, hey, listen, we missed with that pitch. We didn't want to walk him, but that happens. But listen, you got a real good hitting pitcher up here. Let's just pitch him just like you'd pitch a hitter.
So here is Zambrano. 3 of his 4 home runs have come as a left-hand batter this year, hitting .241 overall. Bases loaded, 2 down. And ball 1, and that's 5 of the first 9 hitters Parnell has thrown ball 1 to, and that's been a pattern for him.
I think what happens for Bobby, when I watch him, when he gets in these difficult circumstances, it looks like he tries to aim it a little bit, and it'd be better off to just pick a spot 100% at that spot.
Low and inside, and it's 2-0.
And, you know, I'm saying that, you know, I'm certainly not in his head, and I don't know exactly what he's doing. But when I watch him, when he gets people on base, I think he tries to be too fine and tries to pitch away from contact. And you can see it from the first inning where he's going right after the hitters to here, like almost hoping to get that ball in the corner instead of picking the side of the plate and all out, directing all of your energy towards that plate.
Swing and a miss at a fastball, and it's 2-1.
He doesn't really get cheated, this Mr. Zambrano, at the plate. He has one thought in mind.
Watching him during batting practice at Wrigley Field last week, he's legit. I mean,
yeah.
he has got major league hitting skills. 2-2.
That's where you want to stay right there, and Zambrano is down. He lets the ball up in the strike zone.
So Parnell with a chance to extricate himself from this jam. 2-2 with the bases full. Up and away, and now the merry-go-round will be in motion. 3-2 and 2 down, and everybody will be running. Kosuke Fukudome on deck. Baker at third, Soto at second, Fold at first. 3-2 to Zambrano. And he struck him out. Parnell comes back to strike out Zambrano and get himself out of a jam in the second inning. Second strikeout for Parnell to keep this game scoreless. Bobby Parnell after a difficult but ultimately successful inning.
And Santos is doing the catching tonight. One, because he's had a fine year, but two, they want to make sure they didn't change it up too much and put the rookie Tolley in there tonight. Santos to keep it a little consistent.
Well, Tolley was able to catch Pat Mish's bullpen session before he worked with him yesterday, and congratulations to Mish on his first big league win.
Yeah, that was outstanding. I really enjoyed watching him squirm a little in those last 2 innings. But yes, you're right. Congratulations. Fantastic.
Daniel Murphy might have gotten hit by that pitch if he hadn't swung at it, and fouls it off.
A little fastball that cuts in on Murphy. And you're right. Hit it before it hit him in the numbers.
Self-protection. Murphy homered yesterday in Colorado. Grounds one down to third where Aramis Ramirez has it. And the shore arm throw for the first out. Here's Ron's inside pitch on Carlos Zambrano, part of the business of baseball, brought to you by Xerox, ready for real business.
Well, one of the things about Carlos, he pitches on emotion, so he can get very excited early in the game. You can sometimes use that against him. He can be untouchable. A year ago, almost to the date, pitched a no-hitter last year, and you have to account for his offense. Bobby Parnell accounted for his offense in the last inning by striking him out.
Here's Jeff Francoeur, and he swings at the first one and fouls it off. That no-hitter was against Houston in Milwaukee, a neutral site no-hitter, although it was hardly neutral. It was a Houston home game, but there was 90% Cub fans. A real disservice that Major League Baseball did to the Astros last year when they have to move because of the hurricane. 0-2 to Francoeur.
And they were still in it at that time, weren't they, Houston?
They were very much in it. And they stopped being in it shortly thereafter. You see the career numbers for Zambrano. He has been an ace for this staff, although he's been a little bit less than that this year.
Well, he can be a little erratic in his personality, to be your #1 pitcher, but you can't dispute the stuff. There's sweet Lou Piniella, 66 years old now.
Well, the thing about Zambrano lately is he had a stint on the disabled list because of back spasms the first half of August. He's made 2 starts since coming back, and he has not fared well in either one, so you have to wonder whether he's 100% healthy.
I was thinking that when I saw him in Chicago, but tonight seems a lot different. Throwing in the mid-90s, but slider looks sharp.
Not that one. 2-2.
Well, you know, when you have Francoeur and you're ahead of him 1-2, you're just trying to bounce something because you figure he's going to be aggressive and go after it. Jeff has shown a lot better eye with the Mets than he did with the Braves.
Francoeur homered on Wednesday in Colorado. Fouls this one back. Francoeur homered on Wednesday. Murphy on Thursday. First time the Mets have homered in consecutive games in a month, which just shows you what a dearth of power they've had this year. 78 home runs as a team, last in the National League. Two, and he struck him out with a changeup. Zambrano has his second strikeout.
Well, I'll tell you, sometimes when you're taking at bats, to go back to the Murphy at bat, sometimes they're an offensive swing, but the Coors Light freeze cam. Sometimes you see a defensive swing. Boy, you only see the really rounded end of the bat until the very last second when Murphy fights that off. That literally would have hit him right in the Mets, across his chest.
Very hard to make your arms short enough to make contact with that ball. Here's Corey Sullivan, and he takes a strike.
That's how I used to pitch my little brothers in wiffle ball when I was a kid. Right there.
Up and in.
Oh, yes.
Sullivan enjoyed himself a nice homecoming in Colorado the last few days. Went 3 for 8 in the series. Corey's done a nice job filling in left field, hitting a .268. He's played some fine defense. And he hits this one to deep right field. Back goes Bradley looking up at the wall, and it's out of here. Off the Pepsi porch, Corey Sullivan, his first home run as a New York Met. And he gives the Mets a 1-0 lead. Only his 9th career home run in over 1,000 at-bats. Sullivan goes deep, 1-0 New York.
But Corey's known for his situational hitting, his ability to hit the ball on the ground and line drives. Not known for the home run swing, but catches a hanging slider here by Zambrano. Bat speeds up, gets through the zone, and long home run here.
And a home run against a guy who does not allow many home runs.
Against a staff that does not allow many home runs. What that's 10th home run this year he's allowed.
And it's only the 2nd home run that Zambrano has allowed to a left-hand batter this year. The only other left-hand hitter who's taken him deep this year, Prince Fielder. Prince Fielder, Corey Sullivan. 1-2 to Santos.
One has
some elite company there.
One has 120 RBIs, one doesn't.
One's 170 pounds, one's 270 pounds. Well, nice job by Corey. Here's Santos on 1-2, swinging and missing, and that's the 3rd strikeout for Zambrano. But the Mets grabbed the lead in unlikely fashion. Corey Sullivan's first home run as a Met, coming in his 98th at bat of the season. Parks it off the Pepsi porch in right field to give Bobby Parnell and the Mets a 1-0 lead. out in right center field on a beautiful night in New York, start of the Labor Day weekend. And the start of Corey Sullivan's power display for 2009. Nice. 1-0 New York. Kosuke Fukudome the batter, and he takes a strike from Bobby Parnell. Fukudome struck out his first time up. Well, the Cubs were shut out yesterday at home by the White Sox in the last interleague game of the year. And they've been held off the board so far by Parnell. Bunted back to Parnell, and he has time to throw out Fukudome. A little bit too straight for Fukudome, and Parnell was able to field that rather easily. 1 out.
You know what happens sometimes, Gary, is when you catch a slider, which he caught there, keeps you in the box just a step longer. And Parnell, of course, has that 95-mile-an-hour gun, able to beat Fukudome to the bag. Nice job of getting down and getting that baseball. Fukudome's had a very interesting couple of years for the Cubs, hasn't he? He's been up and down and all the way around, and has been loved and booed and all those things in his short tenure with the Cubs.
Well, he became a folk hero very quickly in Chicago last year when he began the season. He hit a game-winning home run. He had a different style because the Cubs have always been known as a free-swinging team, and here finally was a guy who worked the count and kind of changed the offensive culture a little bit. But then the second half of the season, his performance went straight downhill.
I mean, he was credited with getting the entire lineup in the first part of the season to take more pitches, take more walks.
Well, he loves it in Chicago, I will say that. As Terrio checks the swing, he went around, strike 3. Gary Cederstrom with the call, third strikeout for Parnell. Here's how much Fukudome likes Chicago. So look at that last pitch.
Well, yeah, you see the head of the bat just snap past that plate. That's an automatic for the first base umpire.
Fukudome and his wife had a baby late in 2007, right before he started playing for the Cubs. They named their son Hayato. You know what Hayato means in Japanese?
I don't.
Windy.
Oh, very good.
Windy City.
Wow. Very nice.
Milton Bradley popped up to David Wright his first time up. Bobby Parnell trying to snap a string of 3 starts in which he has failed to go more than 5 innings and has given at least 5 earned runs in each start. No other Met pitcher in their 48-year history has had 3 consecutive starts like that, of no more than 5 innings and at least 5 earned runs in each game. It's off to a good start tonight. 2-1 to Bradley. Hit down to first, past Murphy. And Bradley is aboard. Murph getting down in the dirt, but unable to snag that sharp hop.
We've seen, I think, this is the stronger side of Murphy to the backhand, but took a little strange hop on Murph. He's down in the right position and just off the end of his glove. Just couldn't get to it. That would have taken kind of a flat out dive for that one.
Third hit for the Cubs, so Bradley aboard with 2 out. And now Aramis Ramirez, who grounded out to short his first time up. And he pops up the first pitch to shallow left. Hernandez calling all the way. Sign retired. 3 scoreless for Bobby Parnell and a 1-0 Met lead. 1-0. Anderson Hernandez will lead off. There's a young fan enjoying what the ballpark has to offer. Those are the Nathan's French fries, it looks like. You know, there are many different kinds of French fries in this ballpark.
Really?
All outstanding. You got the Nathan's French fries. You got the Box Frites French fries.
Okay, Box Frites I like. Do you have? Do they have the garlic fries in this ballpark?
I haven't seen
That's
those.
a San Francisco.
That's a San Francisco treat. But you know the deal about the garlic fries, right?
No.
If you're going to have the garlic fries in San Francisco, everybody you're with also has to have the garlic fries.
Or you're carrying parsley around. One of the others.
Nobody will talk to you for the rest of the day. 1-1 to Hernandez, who strokes one out to shortstop for Terrio, and the overhand throw, one out. Let's say you want access to one of the most popular online sources for Mets info with ongoing fan discussions, opinion, and exclusive player and coach interviews. There's a place for that. Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Bobby Parnell 1 for 5 in his big league career. By the way, you know, the other day in Colorado, we let Keith read all the promos.
Oh, how do you do? I know, I heard it. He did a fine job. There were a couple of promos that he wasn't too happy with, but most of them he was very good with.
Were you jealous at all of him having that opportunity?
No. I listened to you read them, and you are outstanding. You've got them down pat. You've already done 100 and what games? 130 games or so.
I've lost count.
You could say them in your sleep.
Big bouncer for Terrio. And soft toss for the second out. Well, you know, next week you may get a chance to read some of those promos.
That's right. That's right. I'm looking forward to it. We'll have some fun on the 9th. 090909.
Wow. How about that? Well, that's next Wednesday.
That could be a disaster.
Next Wednesday when the Mets play the Marlins, we're going to give you and Keith a chance to handle things here.
Boy, that's a scary proposition right there.
I think it's going to be fascinating. I'm going to stay in the truck and listen.
Oh, you are? Well,
oh, yeah.
It's going to, you know, I mean, you are so spot on with your play-by-play, and it's certainly not going to be that kind of broadcast. But I think it's going to be fun for Keith and I to kind of talk about a game like we were sitting in the dugout talking about the game. So you're going to miss some of Gary's great calls, but you're going to get maybe two guys talking about the game. But having this great avenue of doing it on television.
Well, now you guys got to warm up during spring training. You had one game that you worked. How did that go?
It was a little lukewarm. I'd have to give us a C-, barely passing. But you know how Keith is when he goes 0 for 4. Next game he comes rocking.
All right. Well, he'll be warmed up because he'll be back Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday, we're going to also do something special. We're going to have the silent 6th inning. Just ballpark sounds, ambient sounds, crack of the bat, no announcement.
I love that.
For a whole inning.
Perfect.
And, you know, some may say that'll be our best broadcast
of course.
of the year.
I might agree with them. But I think it's going to be great because you're going to get our producer, Greg Picker, and our fine director, Billy Webb, to do their thing. You know, they're artists, you know, in waiting. And they've got to, you know, everyone's got to do this because this is the job.
Pagan floats one to shallow center, and that falls for a hit. The Mets have their second hit of the night.
But these guys are very creative people, so they have a shot in this silent 6 to do their thing. But Pagan does a nice job. He's done a nice job all year. I think that's the pitch. If you were scouting Angel Pagan, you'd say, you know what, pound him in. He wants the ball out over the plate, but he has done a nice job of fighting that ball off. That's why he's gotten all those hits.
See if he tries to swipe a base here with Castillo up. Zambrano is generally pretty tough to run on.
Well, he's quick to the plate, so any base runner is going to try to get any advantage. You can see Pagan looking at Razor Shines, trying to get the signs, and a little discombobulated by what Razor's given to him, and see the eyes, trying to peek into Soto. We're trying to get what Zambrano's going to throw, and you ask, why is he doing that? Well, if he sees the 3 go down there, peeks in and knows it's going to be a slider or a changeup, those are more apt to be in the dirt. They're also a better pitch to run on. Try to hedge your bet as a base runner.
Castillo waiting out Zambrano. It's 2-0. You're not going to believe what just arrived in our booth. It's a plate of garlic fries. Not sure from where it emerged, but I can smell that they truly are garlic fries.
I think the source is the same that came up with that birthday cake that day.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, they listened to our broadcast. How about that?
Well, if they made these specially for us, that's the fastest concocted fries in the history of deep fryers. Very impressed.
Nice job. The truck downstairs saved some for them. We'll send them down there.
Yeah. Remember, you all have to try them.
That's right.
Otherwise, you'll have to step outside. There's a strike to Castillo, 3-1. 12 steals on the year for Pagan. Mets still lead the National League in stolen bases with 107, despite the long-term absence of their best base stealer. There's a strike, and it's 3-2 to Castillo. I would love to get a chart of the number of 3-1 pitches that Castillo has swung at and taken this year. It's got to be, what, at least 50% he's taken.
Oh, I would say more, but especially from the left side. If you take the right side out of play, I think the left side is more than that. I would say it's closer to 75%. From the right side, occasionally you'll see him swing 3-1.
Pagan runs, 3-2 is outside ball 4, and Castillo is on to prolong the inning, and now the Mets have 2 on for David Wright. First walk given up by Zambrano, who has averaged over 4 walks per 9 innings this year.
Well, I know you guys have spent a lot of time in the past few weeks talking about the body language of starting pitchers, and Zambrano has some interesting body language. He gets angry very quickly. And if he's not getting pitches from the umpire, and the home plate today is Adrian Johnson, you'll see it in his eyes. He'll start to stalk around the mound. He'll build up this fury, and sometimes it results in him getting much better, and sometimes it results in him missing with his slider or his fastball over the middle of the plate because he's overthrowing.
David struck out his first time up, and he takes high from Zambrano. Zambrano's already been suspended this year for attacking a water cooler, talking about his emotions.
Well, he attacked the soda machine that was in the dugout, which I've never seen a soda machine in the dugout, and they've taken it out since
Not
then.
there anymore.
Yeah. Darn you, Pepsi.
Well, Lou had a temper during his days, too. Right fouls it back, and it's 1-2.
You know, the one thing watching David since he's come back, Gary, is that the first signs you look for after a player's been hit in the head and has had 2 weeks to think about it. As a pitcher, you're thinking to yourself 2 things. One, if I pop one inside, does he stay in, or is he a little shy? Is the ball reticent when the ball comes inside? And secondly, if my breaking ball away, if he's missing it completely, that means that front shoulder's coming out. None of those apply to Mr. Wright since he's come back.
Grounded down to third, a foul ball. I mean, there was one breaking ball that he had to lean back out of the way of the first. Was it the first game, or was it the pinch hitting assignment the second day? But you know the pitch I'm talking about.
Yes, it's the hanging like slider staying in the middle of the plate. I want to say it was Burgess, but I don't think it was. I know what you're saying.
But there hasn't been, you know, any sign that he's flinched at all or opened up too soon. Breaking ball in the dirt.
And I think that has more to do that he had some symptoms for a couple of days and then was really not cloudy anymore and ready to come back. So David's not that kind of player anyways. He's a tough kid. You know, you don't think of him in that way, but to play 155 every year, you got to have a lot of toughness.
Swing and a miss, got him with the fastball away. David angry at himself for chasing a bad pitch, and the Mets leave 2, still lead 1-0. There's your AT&T high-speed pitch. Bobby Parnell topping out at 97. Carlos Zambrano 96. It's Parnell with a 1-0 lead as we start the fourth. And Micah Hoffpower takes a strike. We were talking earlier about Parnell and first pitch strikes. Saw a fascinating stat today from Elias. We've been talking a lot about how the Mets lead the league in walks and curious about how this has happened. Well, there are only 4 pitchers in the major leagues this year who have faced at least 250 batters and have thrown a first pitch strike to less than half. 3 of those 4 pitchers are Mets. Sean Green, Frankie Rodriguez, and Bobby Parnell. The only other one is Rich Hill of the Orioles. And that's stunning.
Yeah, it's telling.
See there, only 4 pitchers who've thrown first pitch strikes to less than half their batter.
And the guys that are at the top of the league every year are always 60 plus as far as that first pitch strike is concerned.
And Johan Santana's always right in the top names.
He's more like 65%, isn't he?
Now, you know, the Mets had Tom Glavine, who was always near the bottom.
Different pitcher,
but a different kind of pitcher. I mean, if you're a power pitcher, there's no reason to be throwing ball 1. So far, Parnell's right at 50% tonight, 7 out of 14. Hoffpower gets jammed. It hits it into center field. And Pagan is there. 1 away. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Well, guys, you know we've been following Bobby Parnell with his diary. I've been kind of taking his temperature along the way in his quest to become a successful starter. And, you know, Ronnie, what is it they say? I guess if you're a great pitcher, you find a way to win even when you don't have your good stuff. And I think Parnell's going through something similar, because I asked him what so far has been the biggest difference between the minor leagues and now. And he said, well, you know, first of all, when I make mistakes here, they get hit a lot harder and a lot farther. And he said, you know, every game it seems like I have a pitch or two that is inconsistent, and it's changed from game to game. I said, well, what happened in the San Francisco game when you were 6 shut out and you looked terrific? He said, confidence. You know, right as the game started, I had all my stuff. I knew it, and I felt confident in anything I threw. So I guess the question begs then, guys, what comes first, the confidence or the results? Let's go back to you.
Well, as you get more time, Kevin and Gary, I think what happens is that the results, you will have the confidence built in. So the results come with getting hitters out. What happens for young pitchers is that they let the hitters determine their level of confidence. If the hitters hit some good pitches early, they work some walks, the confidence level of the rookie pitcher, young pitcher, goes down considerably. A guy like Santana, if he gives up a leadoff home run and a couple hits in the first inning, his confidence stays exactly the same. It doesn't move at all.
You know, Ronnie, he's such a low-key guy, so it's not like his temperament really bounces up and down. But, you know, if you're his pitching coach, what do you have him do in the offseason to take the next step?
Well, I think his body language is beautiful, to tell you the truth. I think, you know, being the same all the time. We've seen him give up grand slam home runs, and there's no different reaction than when he strikes a batter out. I think the key when I watch Bobby is that he just has unlimited talent, and I think he has a chance to really be a great starter. What he has to get through is he's got to develop a secondary pitch that he can throw for a strike. He's got to develop a changeup so that not everything is within 88 miles an hour and 94 miles an hour. It's too close for these hitters. And what I mean, they won't always hit it, but they'll foul it off and stay in the at-bat. That's the problem. So if he develops that good changeup, so now he's throwing anywhere from 78 to 96, boy, that gives the hitters a big problem.
3-2 to Baker, and he fouls it off. So here's the question. At this point, with Parnell trying to audition and trying to show that he can be a starter, why is he not throwing his changeup more?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think that you covet what you bring to the dance sometimes, and sometimes you just have fear to get beat with your third pitch when you know that, honestly, maybe in the short run you won't develop the way you want, but in the long run it's the best way to do it.
Baker walks. Second walk given up by Parnell.
It's a nice job by our truck. See the speed differential right here? Everything is between 85 and 95 miles an hour, not one below 84 miles an hour. You're going to have to, at some point, get a pitch that's around that 80 mark. That's 15 mile an hour difference. Boy, then you got something to work with. Then you're in the game.
1 out and 1 on for Giovanni Soto, who had a base hit his first time.
And you know what's fun, Gary, is after you develop those. And listen, I struggle just like Pelf is struggling right now, and Bobby Parnell. I got my rear end kicked many, many times. But once you get past that, you go past the wall like a marathon runner, then you just compete. And then it becomes a blast. Because then it's me against Zambrano, me against Hoffpower, Ramirez. Come on, next. Just like a barbershop. Get the next guy in. Let's go. Have those confrontations. That makes it fun.
Ronnie, a guy working on his secondary stuff and trying to throw it more, Gary, as you pointed out, when you get beat on that, like you did in Chicago on the Grand Slam by Fox, how do you get over that mental block that you got beat on that second pitch of yours?
Well, what happens, Kevin, is that once you get past, like I said, this little wall, you develop into what is called a major league pitcher. And a major league pitcher is really his own pitching coach. And how do you get through that wall? You proverbially, nice pronunciation there, spit at that pitch you threw. You threw a slider, hang it, hit it out of the ballpark. Okay, who's next? Okay, you tip your cap because the hitters are trying too.
Soto hits one well to center field, but Pagan drifts over. 2 out, and Baker back to first.
These guys are the best hitters in the world. You're going to throw some unbelievable pitches that they're going to hit that you just have to say, okay, well, who's the next guy up? Look, that's a race. That's all gone. And you move on to the next hitter. And when you get to that point, then it becomes a series of chess matches. When you're a young pitcher, it's checkers. And when you get a little better, you elevate it to chess. And when it becomes chess, then it's fun.
Well, in the meantime, you were talking about demeanor with Zambrano and demeanor with Parnell, and we've witnessed the demeanor of Mike Pelfrey kind of change over this last half a season, and that's got to be an impediment too for a young pitcher.
Well, I think what's happened for Pelf is that he's got some anger, because I think that he feels as though you can't artificially take that next step. It kind of comes organically by hard work and things kind of transpire. But I think that you can, and boy, that's a great guy to be talking to with Alex Cora. Knows more about the game than just about anyone you'll see in uniform.
Fold bounces one for Castillo, who hurries in. Side retired.
But I think the key for Pelfrey is that he has to, at some point, just try to get to a point where this becomes a lot easier.
Middle of the fourth at Citi Field, 1-0 Mets.
Okay, we're playing the Bears again this weekend.
Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Day games the next 2 days. We're on Pix 11 Saturday, back on SNY Sunday. Then 3 with the Marlins Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday when we start to get creative.
That's right. The little guy. He's ready to be 10 toes up, isn't he?
Some kids can sleep through anything. Daniel Murphy leading off the home fourth. Murphy grounded out to third base his first time up. It'll be Murphy, Francoeur, and Sullivan for the Mets in the bottom of the fourth.
No.
And Murphy yanks one foul. Feels as though Carlos Zambrano has been around forever.
Yeah.
He's only 28 years old. First came up with the Cubs in 2001 when he was only 20.
I think that's why, one of the reasons he got that big contract.
Right. And he fools Murphy badly with that fastball. His 5th strikeout.
Well, he tantalized him with a lot of slow breaking balls and then threw the express right here, totally fooling Daniel.
We have seen some rather ugly hacks from Mr. Murphy tonight. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Jeff Francoeur, who struck out his first time up. One of the mantras of baseball people is, and this applies to the Mets this year since they're in a mode where they're playing games without a chance to get to the postseason, as Francoeur pops it up and out to get it Baker for the second out. The mantra is that when you're evaluating players, you never believe what you see in March or what you see in September, and so you've got to temper what you see right now. I mean, if you see a Josh Tolley go off on a big run, you say, oh, that's great for the future, but it's September, because you're playing against some teams that are in it, some teams that are out of it, some teams that are playing call-ups, some teams that are playing shorthanded, and sometimes you can get a less than full view of what a player is and what he isn't.
Well, the thing I like about it, Jerry has talked about it many times to us, Gary, and that is that he tempers his evaluation and really tries to look not only at the outcome and the results of at-bats or pitching, but really who are the players that he wants to take forward that are winning players. And you're out there saying, well, what do you mean a winning player? I mean, obviously Wright and Reyes and Beltran are winning players. They've proved they can win ball games. But you want to move forward with guys that want to play winning baseball, the guys that are all going to pull on the same rope together, not apart. And that, I think, is one of the hardest things to do, not only in evaluating players, but putting together a ball club on the field and inside the clubhouse.
And Sullivan, after homering his last time up, draws a walk this time. Well, Jerry had made that point again tonight, and it made me think for a moment and look back at last year. I mean, last year, Daniel Murphy had a great last 6 weeks of the season. Most of that was in September. And I wonder, did the Mets put a little too much stock in Murph's ability to play at this level this year and hand him a job based on September? And was that the right thing to do? Or because they were in a pennant race, which is what Jerry said today, was it a little different for them last year?
Well, I think he performed so well last year with some key hits. Remember that double he had off Lidge in Philadelphia to tie a ball game. I do think, though, the mistake was made. Not a mistake, but I will say that what happened for Murph and the Mets, that was unfortunate, really, as Santos grounds out, was that they gave him a left field job when they didn't know for sure if he could play left field.
Well, they certainly found out he can play first base a whole lot better. That's what you find out as you continue to watch players play. 1-0 Mets going to the fifth. our blimp working today, sailing over Midtown Manhattan.
Nice shots.
It's just lovely. It's a little scary though.
Oh, look at the green shirts now. Like that little emblem on the front there.
It's like they're left over from St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, that's right.
Fifth inning, Carlos Zambrano leads off against Bobby Parnell. Zambrano batted with the bases loaded and 2 out in the second inning, and Parnell on 3 and 2 struck him out. The only jam that Parnell has had to get himself out of tonight. Here's your fifth inning recap. Not a whole lot to recap. Bobby Parnell, 4 scoreless innings. Corey Sullivan, his first home run as a Met, and a 1-0 Mets lead. It'll be Zambrano, then Kosuke Fukudome, and Ryan Theriot for the Cubs in the fifth. Cubs enter the day trailing Colorado by 6 games in the wild card. The Rockies start a series at home against the Diamondbacks tonight. Hit to left center field, and Pagan ranging over. Zambrano retired, 1 out. Sunday at 8 on an all-new Jets Nation Inside Camp. Get a complete breakdown of last night's Jets-Eagles game. Plus, Leon Washington talks with Steve Overmeyer about how Mark Sanchez will impact his game. On an all-new Jets Nation Inside Camp Sunday at 8. Only on SNY. Almost not camp anymore. They've finished the exhibition schedule, right?
That's right.
He's getting ready for the opener now. Week from Sunday in Houston.
What I love about the news, you know, because wherever you are as you're watching the news, is what the news you get. So I'm watching the news last night. They go on and on about the New York Football Giants. On and on and on. How what a game they had. How great Eli was, which he was. And then I read in the paper today, and that was all the news. All right. Reading the paper today that the Patriots won the game. And I'm just thinking, in Boston, I'm sure if they played the highlights of that game, all you would see would be everything that the Patriots did and nothing that the Giants did.
Fukudome lines wide to left. Sullivan ranging over, diving to make the catch. Corey Sullivan putting on a show. 2 out.
Well, we always talk about throwing strikes and pitch counts and this or that. You know who can help pitch counts? Find defensive plays like this. You saw that play. That looked like a double right off the bat, but Sullivan was not going to be denied. Full layout for the beautiful catch in left, and Sullivan's been great in left field all season long, and Parnell really appreciates that effort.
Corey Sullivan has been the man tonight. Home run, beautiful catch, 2 out. Ryan Theriot takes a strike. Well, Corey enjoyed being back in Colorado for the last 3 days, where he played his whole career. Got to say hello to all his friends, his family's there as well, and thus energized, comes back home and hits a home run, makes a beautiful catch.
Well, you can see why he'd have plenty of friends. He couldn't get a more agreeable personality than Corey Sullivan.
Well, you know he wants to be a politician when he's done with baseball.
Well, you have to be that.
Theriot goes around, 3rd strikeout. Make it the 4th of the night for Parnell. Got helped out by some great defense by Sullivan. A 1-2-3 inning halfway through, 1-0 Mets. Well, back a little tardy. Anderson Hernandez has grounded out on the first pitch in the bottom of the 5th inning. I think we can probably show it to you since you missed it. Yeah, we'll just tell you about it. It was a ground ball to Hoffpower at first base. Well, here it is.
I think Anderson tomorrow is going to say, you could have been a little later, to tell you the truth. Did not need to show that.
So 1 pitch and 1 out for Zambrano in the bottom of the 5th. And now Bobby Parnell will bat. Parnell grounded to short his first time. Another grounder to short for Terrio to handle. And quickly there are 2 out. Hey, let's mix in a Toyota text poll. Who should win the American League Cy Young Award? We haven't focused a lot on that. Zach Greinke got off to the great start for Kansas City. Doesn't have a great 1-loss record.
Well, it's hard with that team. How are you going to do it?
Still leads the league in ERA. Felix Hernandez had a great year, 14-5. CC Sabathia won 16 games. Justin Verlander's been good all year. Look at that ERA on Greinke, pitching for a terrible team in Kansas City. They're 31 games under 500.
Hernandez, of course, for that Mariner team, was a little better team he's pitching for.
Better this year than last, that's for sure.
Verlander's a nice story, isn't he? He's a guy that 2007 we thought he's going to be the best pitcher in the game at some point, and had a couple of, well, season and a half where he wasn't throwing as hard, but back on top of his game. Edwin Jackson, the other pitcher on that Tigers team, has been outstanding too.
They haven't scored for him, and so his 1-loss record isn't what it should be.
And it really puts the Tigers, if they go in a postseason with a short series, they're going to be dangerous.
Well, things end the way they are right now. The Tigers would play the Yankees in the first round. Pagan pops it up to shallow left center. And Sam Fuld calling all the way. Easiest inning tonight for Carlos Zambrano as he sets the Mets down 1-2-3. Still 1-0. We go to the 6th inning. It's been quite a pitcher's duel between Bobby Parnell and Carlos Zambrano. The Mets with a 1-0 advantage as Milton Bradley leads off the 6th and swings and misses at the first offering from Parnell. 0-1. Bradley has one of the 3 Cubs hits. He singled right off the glove of Daniel Murphy with 2 out in the 3rd. In fact, all the Cubs hits have come with 2 out. So a big turnaround for Parnell, who got racked by the Cubs for 8 runs and 9 hits over 4 2/3 on Saturday, and has held them scoreless today. The Cubs have now gone 18 innings without scoring. Their last 4 innings on Wednesday. They got shut out yesterday by the White Sox, and now the first 5 innings today. fisted foul, 2-2.
Boy, Parnell looked sharp. A little slider, took a little off on first pitch for a strike. Change up for a ball, came back inside with a fastball for a ball, and another fastball in there to get to even at 2-2. Mixing up his pitch as well.
This fastball low and in, 3-2. This is Bobby's last start as a 24-year-old. He'll turn 25 on Tuesday. And Bradley pops one up. Murphy retreating. And he has the call. Now called off by Castillo. 1 out. So Bradley retired. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin is standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, Chris, the Marlins are also 4 games out of the wild card. They're playing in Washington. Built a 4-0 lead early, but now it's Florida 6, Washington 5. That game's only in the 4th inning. Ramos Ramirez 0 for 2, grounded to short, popped to short. 1-1. The Giants are a game behind Colorado. They're playing in Milwaukee. And the Brewers have scored a run at the bottom of the 1st and lead the Giants 1-0. That's Barry Zito on the mound for San Francisco. If the Giants are going to win it, it's going to be all about their pitching being dominant day after day. They just don't have enough offense, it would appear, to compete with the other teams that are in the race.
Well, this is the NL wild card, and you guys were out there in Colorado. Colorado does a lot of things well, don't they? And I think they're the front runner, even though they're ahead right now, of course, by only a slim game. But Jim Tracy has them playing good all-around baseball.
I think they're the best all-around team, but the caveat is Houston Street is out right now. If he's out for a considerable part of time, that's going to be a problem for them. And the other thing is Aaron Cook. As Ramirez goes down looking, as Parnell got the call on the inside corner at the knees. Ramirez fussing with Adrian Johnson, but that's 5 strikeouts for Parnell.
Well, you can see that little two-seamer came back over the middle of the plate and worked its way down. Ramirez thought that pitch was down in the strike zone, but we've seen Adrian Johnson likes that pitch, has called it a strike all night long.
So 2 out and nobody on as Parnell keeps rolling along. Here's Micah Hoffpower, grounds one past the mound, but right there is Hernandez to sweep it up. And another strong inning for Bobby Parnell. He's now retired 8 in a row. 1-0 New York.
minutes just talking, actually listening to Brian Schneider and Sandy Alomar Jr. and just asked him about the conversation. He said it was tremendous, just picking their brains about a lot of different things as we take a look at those guys talking again. That was a solid 20 minutes of batting practice. Before that, Tolley was working in the bullpen a lot with Sandy Jr. Guys, about a lot of the drills that we've showed, we had those little vignettes of Sandy showing us what he teaches his catchers. Sandy was doing a lot of that with Josh earlier today. So, you know, just kind of the evolution of a young catcher. Gets one start, a lot of learning today, a lot of listening today. He'll be back behind the plate for Nelson Figueroa tomorrow. Guys, back up to you.
Very good for Tolley to be hearing that from Sandy. But to me, the most impressive part of that entire tableau is Brian Schneider. This is a guy, Josh Tolley, who is trying to take Brian Schneider's job. And Brian could not have been more solicitous and helpful to Tolley from the moment he got here.
Well, Brian's a pro's pro. That's why. And you know, he's always been that kind of player, team player. And I'll tell you, there was a day too long ago when if that were the situation 30 years ago, the other catcher would not spend a second with that catcher.
I mean, he showed Tolley around Coors Field. He was, talking to him about the hitters of the Rockies before he went through the game plan with Pat Bish yesterday. I mean, he's been everywhere for Tolley. I couldn't be more impressed by that.
Let me tell you a little story, and I won't use the names, but when I came up in the September call-up, had about 3 or 4 catchers on the Mets staff roster that year. And one of them was told to come catch me in the bullpen in between starts and said, I am flat out not catching him. Get the bullpen catcher to catch him. And, I mean, it hurt your feelings for a while, but that's how it kind of was. I'm not going to catch this rookie pitcher.
Castillo floats one into left center for a base hit. Cut off by Fukudome. But Castillo is aboard. Mets get the leadoff man on for the first time today. Just their 3rd hit off Zambrano.
Well, when he's going good, Castillo could just wear out that little line drive over the shortstop's head. And well placed here in left center. It doesn't matter how shallow you played him. That would have been a base hit.
So he's aboard with nobody out. David Wright will bat. David's been up twice, struck out both times against Zambrano. Castillo with 15 steals on the year. As Wright takes the slider away for ball 1.
You know what's interesting about the ILTV pitch differentials we'll see here? Sometimes the pitcher will make a better pitch. This is more outside, lower than the target from Soto. But when you're facing a bad ball hitter like Castillo can be, it works right into his center for him to hit that ball to left field. He likes to get the ball off the end of the bat. Shouldn't say he likes to hit the ball off the end of the bat, but he can make that work for him.
Well, especially with 2 strikes, I guess you have to question working Castillo away anyway, right?
You have to pitch him in. You have to pitch him hard in. Make him try to fist that ball to the left side.
Wright takes a strike on the outside. That's 1-2.
You know, to go back to that Tolley thing, even more than that, and I know David's up, I'll say it really quickly. How about Pat Mish, who's been around a little bit, sitting on the bench and quizzing Tolley how they would face these Colorado hitters and let him call the pitches while they were sitting on the bench together. Those are things that would never happen. So the game in many ways sometimes is much better than the version we used to play because the players help each other more. Guys used to say, you're trying to take my money, trying to take my job away. Not going to let that happen easily.
And Wright is struck out for the 3rd time today. Zambrano throwing that split. He has his 6th strikeout victim of the day.
Well, he's got his good stuff. That ball just stopped in the middle of the plate, looked like it was hittable for David, and just dove down and in at the last minute.
So 1 out and 1 on. And now Daniel Murphy, who's grounded out and struck out 0 for 2. Zambrano seems to have a little more calm about him today. Maybe it's because he's pitching better.
Well, I think he has his good stuff. Close play at first. Zambrano has a very good move. pitchers tend to have more confidence when they feel they have their good stuff. And watch this move. Almost gets Castillo at first base. Boy, that was bang bang, wasn't it?
Micah Hoffbauer getting the tag down. Just a shade late. Murphy watches a strike on the outside edge. Well, both these pitchers with turnaround performances tonight. Parnell, who had got beat up 3 straight starts. Zambrano, who had 2 bad outings in a row, one of them against the Mets. Facing the same opponent for the 2nd straight time, and both have gone just the other way. Knocked down by Soto, and it's 1-1.
Well, on this muggy but perfect night here at Citi Field, Bobby Parnell showing usually the mandatory jacket in between innings. Oh, but he's got the towel around the elbow.
Castillo runs and Murphy fouls it off, so the Mets playing a little hit and run. 1-2 now to Murphy. Tell me about the towel around the elbow. Does that make any discernible difference?
It probably doesn't, but it just feels good, Gary. You know what I mean? Just to have that tight around the elbow, just trying to keep it warm a little bit. Guys usually wear the jacket at least on one arm.
See Pat Mish, who eschewed the icing for 2 innings. Normally goes into ice right after he's done, but it's been a long time in that dugout in the 8th and 9th inning yesterday. Grounded down to third, skips by Ramirez, and the Mets have 2 men on. Ramirez trying to pick up that short hop to go for the double play, but could not secure it. And instead, the Mets have 2 on with 1 out.
Well, maybe it was hit too hard for Ramirez to get in front of this baseball. You can see this hop tries to play it off to the side. He could have scooted over just a little bit and played it right in the breadbasket, even if he didn't make it correctly, he could have picked up that baseball. At least got an out.
Waiting to see how they're going to score that. Now Jeff Francoeur. They've scored an error now on Ramirez, just his 7th of the year. Francoeur takes a strike. So the first error of the game has given the Mets a runner in scoring position with 1 out. Francoeur has struck out and popped up 0 for 2. Jeff has driven in a run in 5 straight games. In the dirt, Soto can't secure it, and on to third goes Castillo, and behind the play Murphy moves to second. Didn't get far away from Soto, but aggressive base running puts 2 in scoring position.
Well, just aggressive base running, but also alert base running. The only way you can advance on this play as Soto goes down and tries to keep it in front of him is that you have to be what Louis was doing, that great secondary lead, anticipating the ball in the dirt. Murphy has to check to make sure Castillo goes, and he can proceed to second.
Infield in, and Francoeur fouls it back. So the Cubs down 1-0 in the 6th, bring the infield in, so a base hit could bring home a pair. Luke Pinella's been getting very little offense. Otherwise, maybe in this spot he plays him back. Cubs have now gone 19 straight innings without a run. 1-2. Pulled over the bag, but just fouled. Jim Wolf, the third base umpire, right there to make the call.
Well, the infield's in, but as you see this, lead in foul territory, because if the ball hits you, it is a dead ball. If you're in fair territory, of course, that is an out. Always take your lead in foul territory, go back to the bag in fair.
And Francoeur chases a pitch out of the strike zone. There's a big strikeout for Zambrano, the 2nd out of the inning.
Well, we've seen Zambrano throwing the baseball 92, 93 miles an hour. When he needs a strikeout, he can hump up on that fastball just enough at 96 to get it past Francoeur.
So now 2 out. Corey Sullivan coming up. Soto looks into the dugout, and Lou Piniella says, let's walk him. Sullivan is homered for the only run of this game, and Zambrano walked him in the 4th inning. Now he'll be walked intentionally. And so Omir Santos will get the shot with the bases loaded.
Zambrano is quite a character. Lou mentioned the motion to Soto to walk him on 4 pitches. Zambrano looked in and said, are you kidding me? Well, Lou saw the home run from Sullivan earlier in the game.
So, albeit reluctantly, Zambrano issuing the intentional pass to Sullivan. And now the Mets have the bases full for Santos. Well, here is one of those situations that has just bedeviled the Mets this year. Bases loaded and 2 out. Mets this year with the bases loaded and 2 out have 4 hits in 52 at bats. That is an .077 average in this situation. What a chance for Santos to shake some rust off of that. Omier tonight has struck out and grounded out. Larry Rothschild, the Cubs pitching coach, calling the bullpen to get some action going. Zambrano up to 95 pitches on the night. And Santos takes ball 1.
Well, this is the only problem with walking Sullivan to load the bases. And Zambrano is one of those pitchers that he can have flashes of wildness now behind Santos.
And Omier grounds one to the left side. Ramirez handles this one cleanly and helps Zambrano get through the inning. A single, an error, a wild pitch, but the Mets leave 3 and lead 1-0. We're going to the 7th inning now in Citi Field. Mets leading the Cubs 1-0. Bobby Parnell working on the shutout has allowed just 3 hits so far. Had one tough jam to work out of in the second when the Cubs loaded the bases. He struck out Zambrano. The Cubs haven't had a runner past first base since. Jeff Baker leads off and fouls back the first pitch slider.
Well, just like that outing Parnell had against San Francisco here in Citi Field, these are the glimpses that Dan Warthen and Jerry Manuel and of course the organization will see that make you just so proud of where this guy can go at some point.
Parnell's longest outing as a big league starter so far was that 6 innings against the Giants.
Good hard slider right there. Boy, it takes a nice left turn. First pitch strikes allows you to throw that ball out of the strike zone.
0-2 to Baker. And the fastball misses 1-2. It'll be Baker, then Soto and Fold, 6, 7, and 8 in this depleted Cubs batting order. They're playing without Derek Lee, who's home after the birth of his second child yesterday, and without Soriano, who has the knee problem. Hit out to right field. Francoeur can't quite get it and has to play it off the fence. Baker to second is sliding with a double. So the Cubs have their first extra base hit of the night, and the tying run is at second with nobody out.
We saw Francoeur just fooled a bit by that ball off the bat from Baker. Hit very sharply, could not catch up to it. And I think he was in between whether to reach for it or to dive for it.
So now the tying run in scoring position with nobody out. Soto has 1 for 2, singled and flied out. And Parnell missing high, 1-0. Giovanni Sotos is coming back from the disabled list in early August, is hitting under 140. And he fists one foul. We're going to get that ball to the right side, 1-1.
Very interesting. That's usually not his swing. He's a pull hitter mostly, but trying to do the team thing and hit that ball to the right side. You want to do that early in the count. Just a very difficult pitch, that ball right in on the hands.
One from Parnell, and the slider away, 2-1. Angel Guzman up in the Chicago bullpen. And too high, and all of a sudden Parnell fighting himself, and it's 3-1. And that'll get Dan Worthington on the phone, and the Mets bullpen will spring to life. You got the left-hand hitting Sam Fuld waiting on deck. 3-1, tied him up, and Soto held the swing. Ball 4, and now the Cubs have 2 men on and nobody out.
You know, last inning we saw some evolution to Parnell's game as Worthington goes out, and it was against a tough Bradley. Little slider, first pitch, comes back with a changeup. Fastball, he misses to go 2-1, but still able to jam Bradley in the 2-1 count. Misses down, and then 3-2. The little slider, 3-2, getting Bradley off that fastball, and that's what he's going to have to do at some point. Be able to throw his secondary pitches when he's behind the count. Nice job by Parnell. Needs better work here as he's struggling in the 7th.
So now what's Lou Piniella going to do as Elmer DeSenz gets up in the Mets bullpen? You got the number 8 hitter, a left-hand batter, Fuld up there. You've got Zambrano on deck, 96 pitches, pitching well. He's not leaving, but of course he's also a terrific hitter.
Yeah, you've got to bunt Fuld here because you've got a lot of ways you can go. No outs, get those runners over. Zambrano's an excellent hitter if you leave him in there. If you choose to pinch hit for him, you're not going to lose out there either, although I'd let Zambrano hit.
So Fuld is bunting, pushes it toward right, but fouls it, and it's 0-1. Well, frankly, looking at the left-handed bench that the Cubs have tonight, I think Zambrano's better than anybody else that Lou Piniella's got. His left-handed bench is Mike Fontenot, who's having a bad year. Coy Hill, his backup catcher. Andres Blanco, a backup infielder, and Aaron Miles, who's in about $170. Parnell taking a lot of time to get his sign from Santos. And Fuld pops it up, but that'll come back out of play. But now it's 0-2.
Oh, you see Lou Piniella tell his third base coach, you don't need any real extravagant signs. Said to his third base coach, let him hit. Did not even give it to Mike Quaddy.
Well, in case nobody saw it. So Fuld unable to get the bunt down. Let's see what he does here on 0-2. David Wright not convinced he's not bunting. He's still in. And Fuld fouls it off. Now maybe David will back up. Alan Trammell, the bench coach for Lou Piniella.
Probably looking at the numbers of his guys on the bench against Parnell, but it's not going to be a big window anyways. Not a lot of hitters that face Parnell.
And Fuld grounds one toward the hole. Castillo can't get it. Base hit. Baker to third will be held there, and the Cubs have the bases loaded and nobody out. So Fold, after failing to get the bunt down, able to sneak a ground ball single into right field, and now Parnell has a big mess on his hands.
Well, maybe Piniella did not say let him hit. Maybe he said he better get a hit after not getting the bunt down, and he does. Just finds the right spot. Baker, of course, is going to be held by Mike Quade because Francoeur, that great arm.
Well, they are going to pinch hit for Zambrano. He gets the high fives, exiting now with a chance perhaps to get a win if the Cubs can get him a couple of runs here. And Mike Fontenot will come up to pinch hit. So Fontenot, the left-hand batting second baseman who's hitting just .225, will get the call here.
Well, the only reason I can see this, Gary, is that maybe Zambrano only having a few starts after coming off the disabled list. They are trying to limit him and keeping under, the 120 pitch mark he usually has. So taking a shot here with Fontenot.
Nets will play the infield back at second and short. They'll concede the tying run to try and get a double play here. Murphy trying to figure out where he should play. He's going to stay in front of the runner. And Fontenot fouls the first pitch fastball away, 0-1.
Well, these are the little tests you love to give your young pitchers as they develop. Not only develop their cachet of pitches, you develop to see how they deal in stress situations. None more stressful than this.
The 100th pitch of the night upcoming for Parnell. And Fontenot takes 1 ball, 1 strike. Fontenot got the start against Parnell last Saturday, went 1 for 2 against Bobby. And the breaking ball is low, and it's 2-1.
Well, Parnell should be thinking right here, right on Fontenot, and saying, I need to get a pop-up or a strikeout in this situation. If I can, then I know Fukudome on deck has hit into 11 double plays, grounded into 11 double plays. So that's plus me, but you got to get Fontenot first.
2-2 now as Parnell ratcheted up to 97 miles an hour. Zambrano hoping the Cubs can get him a lead. It's been tough to come by for him. He has only 7 wins this year. The Cubs have gone 20 innings without scoring a run. Two. Check swing. He went around, strike 3. So Parnell strikes out the pinch hitter Fontenot. 6 strikeouts for Parnell. That's the first out of the inning.
And Fontenot's tough year continues. Nice slider down and in. Good job by Santos blocking that pitch. And yes, the swing did go around. Strikeout for Parnell.
So now 1 away. Base is still full. And here's Fukudome, who's 0 for 3, was robbed of a base hit on a diving catch by Sullivan his last time up. Fukudome, remember, tried to bunt his way on back in the 3rd. And he fouls the first pitch fastball away. Boy, we've seen the Cubs swing at a lot of first pitches today.
They really have, and that's very unusual considering that Parnell has struggled to throw first pitch strikes and struggled over in Chicago to do that. But there's been a calmness despite what will happen here in the future to Parnell in these key situations in this game tonight.
0-1 to Fukudome. And it's taken low. 1-1. Parnell threw 109 pitches in his last start in Chicago. He's up to 105 tonight. That 109 was a career high. Baker is at 3rd, Soto at 2nd, and Fold at 1st with 1 out. On 1-1, Fukudome takes in the dirt. Good stop by Santos. That saved a run. And it's 2-1.
Boy, it's hard for me to say, but it looks like the way he held that, that might have been a changeup at 90 miles an hour from Bobby Parnell. And that can happen when you have a young pitcher who just holds on that ball a little too hard.
It's a tough stop for Santos, who couldn't get the glove turn.
Nice play.
2-1 to Fukudome, who has a good eye at the plate. And he fouls it away. And now it's 2-2.
What do you think, Gary? You got Fontenot on the 2-2 breaking ball down the slider. Left-handed hitting Fontenot. We try the same pitch here against Fukudome.
He struck him out. 97-mile-an-hour heat. And Parnell with back-to-back strikeouts. Now there are 2 away.
Well, 2/3 of the way through this jam. Nice pitching by Parnell. Sets up this fastball in and just really throws it by Fukudome.
Zambrano can hardly stand to watch.
I could do that. That's what he's saying.
He left with the bases loaded and nobody out for a pinch hitter. Back-to-back strikeouts, now 2 away, and Ryan Theriot has already struck out twice. Line knocked down by Parnell. Has the play at first. Side retired. The bases were loaded with nobody out. 2 strikeouts and quick hands on the comebacker, and Parnell gets himself out of trouble. SNY is brought to you by Xerox, document services provider to the Mets. Xerox, ready for real business. Hey, you don't want to miss your chance to bid on a night with the SNY broadcast team. You and a guest could have dinner with us. That's Keith and Ron and me, and Kevin will be part of that too.
Nice.
Then you catch the Mets Braves game in an SNY suite at Citi Field on September 22nd. This auction benefits the high school basketball teams scheduled to play in the 2010 SNY Invitational. So bid today at sny.tv/charity auction. Well, Bobby Parnell was quick, and he needed to be.
Just an outstanding inning for Parnell, getting grabs from his battery mate Santos. And, you know, those are the little tests you have to go through. Zambrano couldn't bear to watch.
Well, you know, he probably felt he should have been batting with the bases loaded and nobody out. Lou Piniella took him out for the pinch hitter. Fontenot struck out. Fukudome struck out. And Parnell able to knock down that bullet by Theriot to throw him out and get out of that bases loaded jam. Now Angel Guzman comes on for the Cubs.
27 years old from Venezuela. He really suffered from some elbow problems the last couple seasons. Had Tommy John surgery last year, but has come back strong. This is his 53rd appearance for the Cubbies this year.
And he has pitched very well, holding opposing hitters to a 200 batting average. Bobby Parnell, 7 scoreless innings, the longest outing of his career. 7 strikeouts, matching his high. 109 pitches, matching his high. And all in all, a splendid performance by Parnell tonight. I'll hope that the bullpen can make this lead stand up.
But very interesting, after Jerry kind of comically referred to the Fab Five of his pitchers. Redding now has gone 6 2/3 in 2 successive starts.
Rolled out to second base, and Baker throws out Hernandez one away. Jeremy Reed will bat for Bobby Parnell. First, let's check out tonight's Aflac trivia question. The last National League player to win the MVP award on a losing team. I got that one.
I got it too.
1987.
Yeah. I saw it firsthand, by the way.
He was pretty good.
He was.
In fact, not only a losing team, weren't they a last place team?
Yes, they were.
Jeremy Reed, the pinch hitter. Jeremy's had pinch hit singles each of the last 2 days.
Sorry about that, Gary. I was saying that Redding went 6 2/3 in his last 2 starts. Mish, 7 innings in 2 successive starts. Figueroa with a 7-inning start. Parnell now with 7 innings. I mean, that's the recipe for success for this team right now.
And now the next piece in this game tonight. This is going to be a huge 8th inning for Brian Stokes, who has had himself a very bad week.
Yeah, he failed in Chicago, of course, giving up that grand slam, and then failed for a 3-run home run, and then failed, of course, in Colorado. And you know, he's had an amazing year this year for these Mets, and he's had a couple of hiccups now, and great game to rebound.
Reed pops one up. Terrio called off by Fold, and there are 2 out. Tomorrow the series continues. Mets and Cubs, 1 o'clock game here at Citi Field. Nelson Figueroa, who pitched at Gem his last time out, will go up against Rich Harden. Get your tickets, 718-507-TIXX. 2 out. Here's Angel Pagan, who is 1 for 3 on the day. Talking about Brian Stokes and his difficulties of late, it's been a cruel fact for the Mets that everybody who's been promoted to the 8th inning role has kind of handed it back. Of course, J.J. Putz began the year in that role, then Sean Green and Bobby Parnell, to some extent Pedro Feliciano, and now Stokes. Now Brian will try and rebound tonight and protect a 1-0 lead after 7 terrific innings by Parnell. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Burger King, by Lexus, and by Citi. Citi never sleeps. Well, not only does Brian Stokes come in to protect a 1-0 lead, he'll do it against the heart of the Cubs batting order in the 8th inning. Milton Bradley will lead it off, and he hits the first pitch in the air to shallow right center. Castillo out. On comes Pagan and Frank Corin. It falls in between. Trying for second. Bradley is safe. 3 players allowed the ball to drop, and Bradley beat the tag at second base. Brian Stokes throws one ill-fated pitch, and the Cubs have the tying run at second and nobody out.
Well, this is Pagan's ball, and everyone's looking around. This is Angel Pagan's ball, simply. Francoeur looking for Angel. You want your center fielder to take charge of that baseball, I would think.
Well, these are the things that drive you crazy about Angel Pagan. So much talent. He's been hitting the ball so well, but once every day or two, you have a play like this, he's got to catch that ball. There's Aramis Ramirez, and he takes a slider for a strike. So Stokes put in immediate jeopardy, and that's not what he needed right now. Ramirez is 0 for 3, and he takes that fastball low and in.
And Bradley, who wasn't running hard, made this play close at second. A good throw by Francoeur. Watch Hernandez slap his tag. Does he get it all the way down to get Bradley? Yes, he does. Looks like he got him right on the toe before he touched that base.
Second base umpire Phildon Colbreth right there to make the call. 1-2 to Ramirez.
Well, we have the benefit, of course, of the Coors Light freeze cam, so it makes it easier for us to call. But let's see if Hernandez gets that tag on the toe.
Sure look from here like
Boy, it really does look like it. And Hernandez was arguing with the umpire, not vehemently, but he thought he'd gotten the tag down.
So that forces Stokes to do some heavy lifting. 1-2 to Ramirez. Up and away. Like a Hoffpauer, a left-hand hitter on deck. And they do not see Pedro Feliciano up in the bullpen. Struck him out. Stokes throws the fastball by Aramis Ramirez. That's the first out of the 8th. Here's a big strikeout for Brian Stokes.
Nice job by Brian elevating this fastball, just getting it out of the way of Ramirez with that big swing.
Dan Warthen will head to the mound to talk to Stokes before he works on Hoffpauer. While he does, we'll check in with the studio. Chris Carlin at a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. I guess the luster is off. That's 2 straight starts now where Lee has faltered. Phillies have enough of a cushion to get him right. They're 8.5 ahead of the Braves. Here's Hoffpauer, is 0 for 3, and he takes a strike on the inside edge. Hoffpauer's flied out twice and grounded to short. The Cubs have now out-hit the Mets 6-3, but the Mets with a 1-0 lead. The only run, a Corey Sullivan home run back in the second. Hoffpauer lifts one to right center. Playable for Pagan. He's calling all the way this time. And that's the second out. Bradley tags, heads for third, and makes it easily. But now there are 2 out of the inning.
Well, nice pitch from Brian there, crowding Hoffpauer as they have done all night long.
So now with the tying run 90 feet away, Jeff Baker the batter, and the Mets have not gotten Baker out tonight. Singled to center in the second, walked in the 4th, and then doubled to right to get the 7th inning started. The Cubs would load the bases with nobody out in the 7th, but Bobby Parnell pitched brilliantly to get himself through that jam. Now Stokes trying to get out of a jam of his own. And it's ball 1 to Baker. Kevin Gregg deposed as the closer for the Cubs, getting ready to pitch the bottom of the 8th. Carlos Marmol has taken over as the Cubs' 9th inning man. And Stokes falls behind Baker 2-0. You've got another right-hand hitter, Giovanni Soto, waiting on deck. And again, no sign of Feliciano in the bullpen. Pedro's pitched each of the last 2 days. They've tried to back off his workload a little bit, coming down the stretch. 2-0 to Baker, and the slider on the outside corner, 2-1.
Nice pitch by Brian Stokes after just missing with those 2 fastballs in, went with the slider away. Remember in the last at bat against Parnell, fastball away, he was able to drive that ball over the head of Frank Core. Have to stay away from the fastball away.
And for Stokes, the ability to throw that slider and fastball counts really has been a huge difference for him this year.
And that has been his detriment the last 2 games. He has not been able to do that. Hung a couple of sliders. Wouldn't be surprised to see a 3-1 slider here. Wants to go back with a fastball in.
Behind 3-1 on Baker, and he punches it into right field, and that'll tie up the game. Bradley comes in to score on the 2-out hit by Jeff Baker, who's 3 for 3 on the night, and the Cubs have gotten even 1-1, and that'll cost Bobby Parnell any chance for a victory on a night where he threw 7 scoreless innings.
Problem here, Gary, when 3-1 you call a fastball in, the inclination for a pitcher is to make sure he throws a strike. So you end up centering that baseball a little more. Nice job a bit by Baker by hitting that to right field.
So now 2 out, the go-ahead run at first, and Soto the batter. Well, the inning began with Milton Bradley hitting a pop fly into right center that should have been caught, and then a very close play at second.
The Coors Light freeze cam again. Watch that slap tag. To me, it looks like he hits his toe right there before the foot's on the bag.
And that run has now come around to score. Soto tonight 1 for 2 and a walk. So another difficult 8th inning for Brian Stokes. This one not completely of his own making. Slider for a strike, 1-1 to Soto. Last year's National League Rookie of the Year. It's been a very different kind of season for Soto in 09. Hitting a .214 for the year. One to Soto. And he fouls off the slider, 1-2. Well, the Cubs have gone 20 innings without scoring before finally putting up a marker here in the 8th inning. They didn't score the last 4 innings on Wednesday. Got shut out yesterday and went the first 7 innings without scoring today. But now they've gotten even. Hit to second. Castillo makes the toss to Hernandez. Side retired, but not before the Cubs get even. 1-1 at Citi Field. It's Castillo, Wright, and Murphy coming up in the bottom of the 8th. which pitcher should win the American League Cy Young Award, and a majority says Zach Greinke. I think that's a good call. No?
CC didn't have a chance on this station.
Well, no.
Right? 16 wins.
But
Verlander, they probably don't know that much about. Hernandez, probably even less.
Here's the problem with Cy Young voting these days.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be you'd get a couple of guys who win 20 games, and that was kind of a benchmark. Nobody wins 20 games anymore. I mean, Cliff Lee did last year. He went 22-3, but for the most part, you get years where, you know, guys are top pitchers are winning 17, 18 games.
A lot of times 25 decisions usually is the most that they're going to get. Kevin Gregg coming in. You can see Santos and Stokes talking about the selection of pitches and trying to work through why they decided on that pitch. And I'm sure it was the 3-1 pitch to Baker, why they decided to go with a fastball in.
So the Mets will try and regain the lead against Kevin Gregg in the bottom of the 8th. Luis Castillo takes a strike. Carlos Zambrano now off the hook after watching his team waste a bases loaded nobody out opportunity in the 7th. They took advantage of a poorly played ball to get a run in the 8th. Castillo 1 for 2 and a walk tonight. And Gregg throws the breaking ball for a strike. 0-2. Frankie Rodriguez hoping the Mets can get a run and give him a save chance in the 9th. It'll be Castillo, then David Wright and Daniel Murphy here in the bottom of the 8th. Kevin Gregg began the year as the Cubs closer, but over the course of the season gave that job back. Now working as the setup man for Carlos Marmol.
Well, he had 61 saves the last couple of seasons for the Florida Marlins, but last year towards the end was struggling. And when the Marlins decided to go with Matt Lindstrom as the closer, because they got Nunez over from Kansas City, Gregg became expendable. They traded him to Chicago for Jose Seda.
23 of 29 in save opportunities before he lost that role. 2-2 to Castillo. Slap towards short. Loved by Terrio on a close play. Safe. Terrio back on his heels as he fielded that ball, and it cost him. Castillo with an infield hit, his second hit of the night.
Well, this has really been the problem for the Cubs and Terrio all season long, is that he was on his heels, but at the same time, Gary, his arm is not strong enough when he's on his heels to make up for that mistake. And Castillo, of course, who can smell those infield base hits as well as anyone, gets one here.
Well, here's the great comparison. The Mets just spent 3 days watching Troy Tulowitzki in Colorado. He can play that ball back the way Terrio did and easily get Castillo at first. So Castillo legs one out. He has his second hit of the night. The lead run aboard for David Wright, who's happy to see Zambrano out of the game. David faced Zambrano 3 times tonight and struck out all 3.
Now see this play at first base. Just beats it. Ball hits the dirt. Foot hits the bag. Nice stretch there by the first baseman.
Good call by Gary Cederstrom. Mets have just their 4th hit of the night. And Wright lines one into center field for a base hit. Fukudome cuts it off, but Castillo easily gets to third, and the Mets have the lead run at third base and nobody out. David Wright with his first hit of the night. And now the Mets are in business in the bottom of the 8th.
So occasionally you get a glimpse of how quick this game can be. David hit that right on the nose, and a ball that's just a little off center was hit so hard that it almost worked its way past Fukudome, who made an excellent play in center field. Castillo, of course, with aggressive base running, gets to third base with no outs. That is a beautiful swing. Eye on the baseball, eyes wide open as soon as he makes contact. Nice hitting by David.
So a big opportunity for the Mets to regain the lead right after the Cubs tied it in the top of the inning. Daniel Murphy coming up with first and third and nobody out. Lou Pinella's got a left-hander up in the bullpen. Larry Rothschild waiting to hear that the lefty is ready. And now here comes Lou, calling time as he goes. John Graybo, the left-hander, whom the Pirates acquired from the Cubs acquired from the Pirates at the trading deadline, has been working very quickly to try and get himself ready.
And Lou walking very slowly. That combination trying to get Graybo ready to come in to face Murphy. He'll take his time. He'll go up and have a little conversation with Gregg. soon as home plate umpire Adrian Johnson works his way out, he will make the move to Graybow, who has been perfect since coming over the Cubs. 16 appearances, no runs allowed.
Lou will try and stall as long as he can here. What are you coming out here for?
Well, Adrian,
really? You need me to make a decision one way or another?
How's the kids? Where'd you eat last night?
I stall a little longer, and finally the umpire makes the pitching change. Nicely done. Greg leaves. Graybow will come on. Mets trying to take the lead in the bottom of the 8th.
Good stuff, guys. That was fun.
Highlights, analysis, and in-depth coverage of all things New York sports on Geico Sports Night tonight after the postgame and at 1 a.m. right here on SNY. Veteran left-hander John Graybow comes into a red-hot situation here at the bottom of the 8th.
Well, he has been spectacular for these Cubbies since coming over. I mentioned those 16 games without allowing a run. He leads all Major League lefties with 400 games since the 2004 season. As with those lowly Pirates, he was one of their best players.
Jerry Manuel will bat for Daniel Murphy and send up Fernando Tatis to try and get that lead run home from third. Castillo at third, right at first, and nobody out. The Cubs have their middle infielders at double play depth, looking like they'll concede the go-ahead run. That's showing a lot of confidence in an offense that has not produced much for the Cubs.
Exactly. I mean, that's a difficult call, I guess, for Pennell. I personally would have the infield in.
I mean, you're facing Frankie Rodriguez in the 9th inning. If you get a double play here and a run comes home, that's a tough way to operate, particularly when you have 8, 9, and 1 in your order due up.
The problem is you have Castillo on third, who's got great speed. So bring the infielders a little bit. If you get a bullet, ground ball, you can look to Castillo and start to double play.
Better yet for Graybow, he'd love to strike Tatis out. He's ahead 1-2. Jeff Francoeur waiting on deck. The Cubs bullpen is quiet, so it looks like Graybow's going to get Francoeur as well. 1-2, up and away with a changeup. 2-2 to Tatis.
Well, Graybow has not appreciated pitching in Citi Field. 2 appearances in a row when he was with the Pirates. He gave up 6 runs in 2 innings of work.
Came over in a trade with Tom Gorzelani, who's done a nice job in long relief for the Cubs. Inside on a full count to Tatis. How do you start right in this situation?
I think it's difficult to start right because Tatis has some strikeouts this season. Also, the left-handed pitcher keeps Wright close enough that he could have a strike him out, throw him out.
If they throw through.
Hooked into right field, a base hit for Tatis, and the Mets regain the lead. Castillo in to score on the pinch hit single by Fernando Tatis, and it's 2-1 New York.
Well, those at-bats that Tatis got when Wright was out were invaluable. It's just beautiful hitting on his pitch away, not trying to do too much. Strokes that ball the other way for a base hit and puts the Mets ahead.
3 straight hits for the Mets to start the 8th inning, and I don't know what Bradley was doing, throwing that ball over everybody. Was in danger of moving the runners up. Now Francoeur with first and second and nobody out, and it's in the dirt, squirting away from Soto, and the runners advance to second and third. Second time tonight that the Mets have advanced a couple of runners in the same way.
Well, Lou can only shake his head again, just like Castillo. The beautiful secondary lead, the anticipation of the ball in the dirt. Tatis checking that Wright went ahead and takes second base.
And now the Cubs already behind have got to bring the infield in, and they're going to walk Francoeur intentionally, and Graybo almost threw it away. So this will load the bases and bring up the left-hand hitter Corey Sullivan, who was responsible for the first and for a long time the only run of the night with a home run back in the second. Now the Mets have Nick Evans on the bench available to pinch hit if they want to go to a right-hand batter, but it looks like Sullivan is going to stay in and bat for himself. Gary Sheffield still mostly unavailable due to back spasms.
Well, this is a move that maybe if you were tied, Sullivan might come out of this game, but in the second inning, Sullivan is hot tonight, had the home run off Zambrano. That was the difference in the game for such a long period of time. But Gary, with the lead, one of the keys here is Sullivan you want in left field when Rodriguez comes in the ninth.
Cubs bring the infield in, bases loaded, nobody out. The Mets have taken the lead in the bottom of the 8th, and
Sullivan lines a base hit into left field. That'll chase David Wright home. Tatis will stay at third. An RBI single for Corey Sullivan, his second run batted into the night, and it's 3-1 New York.
How about both hitters, Tatis and Corey Sullivan, not trying to do too much, going with that pitch away, driving it to the opposite field. Fold is playing so shallow, no chance for Tatis to score. But of course, Wright stops on the line drive. When it goes through, proceeds home with the third Mets run.
Both runs in this inning charged to Kevin Gregg, who's now on the hook. And now Omir Santos takes ball 1. 5 straight Mets have reached base to start the inning. Castillo with the infield hit, Wright with the base hit to left center. Then they brought in the lefty, and Graybo has not been able to get anybody out. Tatis with the hit to give the Mets the lead. A wild pitch, an intentional walk to Francoeur, and now Sullivan's base hit, making it 3-1. Santos is 0 for 3 tonight, and he lifts one to right field along the line. That's going to head toward the stands and go out of play.
Oh, here's the ILTV pitch differential. Wants that ball. You know, the one thing about Soto, he wanted that ball down, but that ball was up in the middle. So the thing about Soto, I've watched all night tonight, when he gives the signs, he's very much in the middle of the plate.
Santos bounces one over Ramirez and into left field, a base hit. Tatis to score. Francoeur comes home. He gets hit by the throw. The ball bounces away. On to third goes Sullivan, and into second base goes Santos. It's 5-1 New York. Omir Santos comes through.
Well, nice job here by Santos with that big topspin, able to get that over the head of the drawn-in Ramirez. And nice job here by Shines, waving Francoeur on. A great jump from second base. Good throw by Fold, by the way, just into the runner. Good throw in the sense that he had a lot on this throw. It looked like it was going to be a close play at the plate, but just gets the heel of Francoeur. And the pitcher, Graybow, you have to be back, almost by the back of the fence, or back by the backstop, to be able to back up that play. He was right next to the catcher. Not a good play for him.
2 RBIs for Santos, then an error charge to Fold, allowing the runners to move to second and third. An unfortunate error, but it's the way they draw it up in the scoring rules. So the Mets have had 5 hits and a walk. Still nobody out in the inning. 4 runs are home. No more save chance for Frankie Rodriguez. How many times has that happened this year, where the Mets have outscored the save opportunity? Now Anderson Hernandez with the infield in. 2nd and 3rd. Still nobody out. So the Mets putting together a huge 8th inning after the Cubs had tied it in the top of the 8th.
And Hernandez hits one toward the hole, base hit. Sullivan in to score. Santos to 3rd. 6-1 New York. And the hits just keep on coming. Anderson Hernandez drives in his 31st run. A 5-run 8th inning and still nobody out.
Well, nice job by Hernandez trying to come up and in. Does not get it there. Quick bat by Hernandez and just gets that out of the reach of Terrio.
Well, the Mets are pouring it on, and Lou Piniella is going to pull the plug on John Graybo, who's faced 5 batters and retired none of them. He's got Justin Berg up in the bullpen. Mets have scored 5 in the 8th. Still nobody out. How many more can they get? 6-1. Player for a losing team to win the MVP in the National League, well, that would be the Hawk. Andre Dawson, 1987. What did Andre Dawson do against Ron Darling in 1987?
Well, I thought it was 1987. It was 1989.
Okay.
But 87, he did major damage also. But in 1989, he hit his 300th home run off me in April.
Brian Stokes, the batter. Stokes now pitcher of record on the long side and gets down a nice bunt. Off power, tosses to Baker. That moves Hernandez to second base. It's also the first out of the inning. Santos holding at 3rd. So now the Mets, who scored 5 runs in the 8th, have 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. And the 9th man up will be Angel Pagan against Justin Berg.
Justin Berg just called up, only in a couple games so far this season. 25 years old, from Wisconsin. Was with the New York Yankees, traded for Matt Lawton.
Justin Berg grew up in Antigua, Wisconsin, where it's very cold. So, of course, his nickname is Iceberg. The infield comes in for Angel Pagan, and he takes a strike. Pagan 1 for 4, had a base hit back in the 3rd. Luis Castillo, who led this whole thing off with an infield hit, is now on deck. And Pagan fouls it off. Nothing to wonder about baseball players who grew up in cold climates like Wisconsin or Maine. You know, how do they ultimately get to the major leagues when they've played so little over the course of their lives growing up?
Well, you know, they have a great baseball program at the University of Maine in Orono.
The Black Bears. 0-2, and Pagan fouls it off. It seems as though there have been more pitchers from cold weather climates than position players.
It's just so hard. I mean, I grew up not as a pitcher, as a position player in Massachusetts, and playing in those temperatures. I remember my high school team, we had kind of these big burly sweatsuits that we had to wear in February and March to try to get ready. It was just ridiculous how cold it was.
In there for a call, strike 3, and Pagan is down looking and stopping to argue about it with Adrian Johnson before vacating. That's the second out. So 2 away. Now here's Castillo, who it would look like a routine ground ball to short to start this inning, but Ryan Theriot unable to throw him out. Castillo reached on an infield hit, and the inning has tumbled down from there for the Chicago Cubs as their playoff hopes get dimmer and dimmer by the moment. Slow ground ball. In comes Ramirez to bare hand, and the throw in time to get Castillo. And the inning comes to an end. But the Mets send 10 men to the plate and score 5 runs. We head to the 9th at Citi Field, and the Mets have built a 6-1 lead. Some of the crowd here at Citi Field, 37,953 for the opening game of this homestand and the start of the Labor Day weekend. We go to the 9th inning, and Sam Fuld leads it off for the Cubs. Brian Stokes, who gave up the tying run in the 8th, now stands to be the winning pitcher, in part because of that man, Fernando Tatis, who drove in the go-ahead run with a pinch hit single and now stays in at first base. Had scored 5 in that 8th before the dust cleared, and have a chance now to win back-to-back games, something they've done only once since the end of July. They won at Arizona August 12th.
You got my attention.
Home against the Giants on August 14th. That's the only time since the end of July the Mets have won back-to-back games.
Wow.
3-1 now to Fuld. And ball 4. So Stokes walks the leadoff hitter. Right after the game, join Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda for all of tonight's highlights, exclusive interviews, Jerry's post-game reactions, Lincoln Mercury post-game live right after tonight's game and after all 162 Met games right here on SNY. Now Bobby Scales will be the pinch hitter for the Cubs. Scales, who was up with the Cubs earlier this year, just added to the roster. Scales, a guy who spent an eternity in the minor leagues before finally getting a shot earlier this season. Hitting at .241. He rifles one foul, 1-1. Looped out over short, and that's going to fall for a base hit. And the Cubs have the first two men on in the ninth inning. Third hit against Stokes in relief. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Toyota. By Geico. And by Corona. Enjoy responsibly. So things not going easily for Brian Stokes after being handed a 5-run lead. And that'll get Frankie Rodriguez back up in the bullpen as Kosuke Fukudome takes a strike. Fukudome's gone 0 for 4 tonight. Had a huge at bat in the 7th inning when the Cubs were down 1-0. The Cubs had the bases loaded and nobody out. Parnell struck out pinch hitter Mike Fontenot, then struck out Fukudome, and then got himself out of the inning by knocking down a bullet back to the mound by Ryan Theriot. It was Parnell's finest hour on a tremendous night of pitching for Bobby. He'll get a no decision out of this game, but many brownie points as well. 2-1 now to Fukudome. And Bobby back in the dugout, and he's got every reason to smile.
Well, Brian's starting to put himself in harm's way here. The only way a team that is down the way the Cubs have been in this game is to walk people like the leadoff walk he had there, and that 0-2 hit to Scales. Got to get it out here with Fukudome.
Fukudome pops it up in foul ground, right coming over for a look, but that'll be beyond his reach and on the dugout roof. Two and 2 to Fukudome. Day game tomorrow. Nelson Figueroa will pitch for the Mets against Rich Harden. Figueroa was great his last start in Chicago, striking out a career high 10 batters in 7 innings. And Harden on any given day could throw a no-hitter. 2-2 to Fukudome. Popped it up, shallow left, long run for Hernandez, and he makes the grab. Nicely done by Anderson Hernandez, who realized very quickly that Corey Sullivan wasn't going to get there, and so he did. 1 out.
Well, outstanding play by Anderson, who never gave up on this baseball. You see a lot of shortstops sometimes assume the left field is going to get there, but he was on his horse from the get-go, makes a fine running catch. An inning saver.
So that's the first out, and now Ryan Theriot, who's gone 0 for 4. So the top two hitters in the Cubs order, Fukudome and Theriot, are a combined 0 for 9. Theriot has been going backwards to 6 for his last 42. And unable to make the play on Castillo that got the Mets' big inning started in the bottom of the 8th. Hit to second. Castillo knocks it down but can't make a play, and now the bases are loaded. So after Theriot couldn't make a play on Castillo, Castillo couldn't quite glove that ball by Theriot. An infield single loads up the bases, and now the Cubs need only one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate.
Well, Louis, he got over there in time, but see how he overreached, almost hits him in the heel of the glove, almost in the wrist, and bounds too far away.
Well, this is now a save situation for Frankie Rodriguez if you bring him in, because the tying run is on deck. We'll see whether Jerry plays the save rule here. Well, looks like he's going to give Stokes one more batter. Frankie knows it's a safe chance.
Yeah, he does.
Nobody knows the save rule better than the closer. Milton Bradley, the batter. Bradley 2 for 4, a single and a double. And he pulls one down to first. Tatis boots it, and everybody's safe as a run comes in. And now it's 6-2, and the tying run will come to bat. So the Mets melting down a bit here in the top of the ninth. The error by Tatis brings a run in, and it brings Jerry Manuel out of the dugout to call for his closer.
Well, that ball down the line just misplayed by Tatis. Closed the glove too early.
So Tatis, who gave the Mets a lead, gives up a run. Frankie Rodriguez comes in to try and save it. It's 6-2. Frankie Rodriguez comes in to pitch to Aramis Ramirez. Bases loaded. 1 out of the ninth. Ramirez the tying run at the plate as Frankie comes on to try and notch the save. Ramirez tonight 0 for 4 has struck out his last 2 at bats. And Ramirez has to dance. 2-0.
Well, you see the numbers, 28 out of 33, but as of late, the inability to Francisco to get ahead of the first hitter he's faced has been a problem.
Talked about it before. Fewer than half his batters has he thrown a first pitch strike this year. 2-0 to a dangerous hitter, and Ramirez pops it up. Infield fly rule will be called. The batter is out as Castillo puts it away, and there are 2 out in the ninth inning. So a huge out for Francisco Rodriguez, and now the Cubs are down to their final out of the night.
Well, he's looking for a fastball in the middle of the plate. Got it in the middle of the plate, but Francisco kept it down enough to get the frustrated Ramirez.
So the Mets 1 out away from a victory. Now Micah Hoffpower will be called back, and they'll send up Jake Fox as a pinch hitter. Remember, Fox hit the grand slam off Bobby Parnell last Saturday at Wrigley Field, and he comes up here where a grand slam could tie it for the Cubs. So Fox, the rookie hitter without a position, stands in and swings and misses, 0-1.
Got a little bit of that Rob Deere swing, doesn't he? All or nothing for Fox. Like Matt Steers from the right side.
Oh, 1 to Fox. And the breaking ball down, 1-1. Lou Piniella watched the Mets score 5 in the bottom of the 8th to take a 6-1 lead. The Cubs taking advantage of some Mets foibles to get a run home here in the 9th and leave them loaded. And now Rodriguez trying to secure the final out. 1-1 to Jake Fox. Swing and a miss. 1-2.
Well, if you watch that swing in Francisco Rodriguez, it just tells you one thing. He was somewhat on the fastball, good fastball hitter in Fox, not a good breaking ball hitter.
10 home runs in just 175 at bats this year. One-two.
He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Francisco Rodriguez comes in to get the final 2 outs. And on the strength of a 5-run bottom of the 8th inning, the Mets have taken the opener of the series in the homestand as they beat the Cubs 6-2. 7 tremendous innings from Bobby Parnell.
Well, he was as good and better than his start against the Giants here at Citi